Hey guys, welcome back to AFK Journey. In today's video, we're going to be going through an updated tier list over on Pridewin, including Mikola in it. And before we get into it, as we do with our tier list, we are going to do another $100 giveaway in this one. So just be subscribed to leave a comment. You'll go into the draw. The previous giveaways winner was announced in a community post if you want to go ahead and check that. So let's jump into the tier list. So Mikola is a very interesting unit in my opinion, in the way that she gets some really good bossing usage out of a single copy. So she is going to have a bit more nuance to her placings than some other heroes like Lily May and stuff like that in the past. So we're going to go through all the different categories because I want to have a bit of a chat about them. I know there is a lot of new players as well with the Asia launch. We're probably going to get a bunch in the next 2-3 weeks with the coming of the new season, whenever that does end up dropping. So I want to go through a bit of a detail into all the criteria. Now, when we look at AFK, pre-EX, post-EX, and deficit, these are all in the AFK stage pushing. Dream Realm is obviously your bosses, Battle Drills is your guild mode, and then PvP is the PvP. So let's go through the pre-EX. Pre-EX in AFK stages, I think she's probably even lower than A, in my opinion. She just runs in and dies. Yes, she does have her buffing capabilities, but normally you're not bringing her as a pure buffer in these stages. So I mean, A is a safe place to put her, but yeah, you're just not going to use her much early game because she just gets tapped. Essentially, that's it. She just runs into melee. And she's so fast, she'll run past your tanks to go ahead and commit suicide. It's absolutely ridiculous. So I do think in the end game, once you've got more built teams, she will have more viability. But in that early game phase, you're still in the early game phase. You're looking at running either Cecilia or Floribel, along with Coco, Smokey, and Tandra, Brutus, Rowan, any combination of those ones. And then in fringe cases, you will chuck in Ludovic. In fringe cases, I have seen the Floribel, Floribel being thrown in with Hewen and also Almas as well, where I don't even see Almas in here. He's a tank. Yeah, no, Almas is doing things. Almas is doing things. He can definitely come up. I have seen a lot of high deficit pushes in the early game because I've been playing a bunch of new accounts. So Almas is doing things as well. So I have seen that as an option. And then with Ludovic, I have seen some Graveborn core options, but still the Mola core is going to be the main one you see. I do think, once again, from last time, I think Lily May can drop down into S tier and these guys can all drop down into A tier and it can shuffle down from there, because I do think still in the early game, Cecilia and Floribel are the two outstanding DPS. Currently on my alt accounts, like Lily May banners up, so I've got like really beefed up Lily May compared to the investment on my other characters, and often I do still have to drop Lily May just because the others just synergize so well. These two just have the control as well as damage to buy you time, and they also have pseudo tanks that can take the hits. So that is what we are looking at over there. But yeah, in her early AFK stage, ain't too great. Post-EX, where is she getting slapped into this S? It kind of makes sense. She does get more healing throughput once she gets into that post-EX. I have seen some replays or some screenshots of battles in AFK stages where Mikola actually does decent damage, but she's still just so inconsistent on the damage dealing capabilities that I'm not too sure. So in this one, she is going to be running more as a sustainer slash buffing unit, so she can be used in those. I do think the summoner team is pretty cool with her as well. It works quite functional, but she is very niche in that you do have to get the right map with the right enemies where you can hold the arena and stuff like that. So she is a little bit awkward in those situations. As we move into the deficit is where I do think she will have her most viability. I just feel like as we move away from just smoky teams, and deficit depends on what we're looking at, because a lot of people don't push giga high deficits. I feel like for AFK stages, there should be like an end game auto farming mode, because that's what a lot of people do now, especially with the season. Until we see season rewards, I don't think there's much point in pushing AFK stages. If they incentivize it heavily, then that will change. But I think for the because once you've got full team compositions built, then she can be used as a buffing unit to help you amplify your damage and your throughput in your team, whilst also keeping them alive. But you also have the synergies in your team that she won't be getting one tapped by running running into melee range. So that's why I do think the later she gets into the game, obviously she will require that investment, that Supreme Plus at this stage if we're looking at deficits. But I do think that is where she will get more viability, because you can build a proper team that can actually keep her alive and protect her, whether you're using it like a control-based team, or whether you're using taunting, like however you want to play it. But I do think this is where she does get more viability in the AFK stage places. As for battle drills, I think she's a pretty solid battle drills unit, just buffing anyway. It comes down to bossing again, when you're trying to kill, whether it be the mini bosses or the big boss. The buffing capabilities, along with the sustain, uninterruptible sustain as well, is just based on her pumping out some damage. She goes really well in that as well. So I just think she's really safe to be able to heal through anything. We do end up with some knockbacks and stuff like that in some of the fights there. So the fact that, you know, sometimes Smokey can get interrupted on these, he's still an absolute monster, but it does give you another option with Mikola. Now we do have a fair few sustaining options over there with Ludovic as well coming into the mix, and then obviously Coco being pretty strong in battle drills. But I know battle drills is not most people's top priority, because let's face it, you just slap some units in, do some damage, and you're gonna get the rewards all the way up anyway, so it's not too much of an issue. As for PvP, I kind of like her more as a defense unit in PvP. It's a very interesting one. I've seen some defenses that just work really well. On offense, she's one that I wouldn't be willing to put on my offense, because there's just too many things that can go wrong with the field and stuff, and you end up just getting no benefit out of her, whether she runs forward and gets sniped. You know, PvP, you don't get to retry it, so I just feel like she's not consistent, reliable enough for me to want to slap into my offense team. But I do think she can catch some people out on a defense team if you go for a really hyper buffy type thing and you just like end up slapping them super hard. But in general, I don't think she is in that S plus tier, because she is not in like the quote unquote meta. She didn't make an impact like Lily May did when she came out, where she was like just absolutely amazing for countering Iron, but also just slapping shit super hard. But Mikola, decent there. So the main place we are looking at her is in the Dream Realm. Now, once again, I will update you guys if I see anything new with Mikola in any of these other game modes, but she just seems like she seems in every other game mode besides Dream Realm. She feels like a lot of the other units we've had as banners in the past, where, you know, they're alright, you can get them and you can do stuff with them, but they're not going to be like game changing. But Dream Realm is where she does definitely shine. You can see we've got her at S plus here in the Dream Realm, and she really does work super well here, because she pairs so well with our current best DPS, which is Lily May. Now, if you don't have Lily May or Freyesto, I think she just falls off, because a lot of the units you're going to be using, maybe you're using Corrin for main damage, maybe you're using Taylene for main damage, but if you're using like Marilee and Odie as your main damage dealers, then she's not going to work, because they're not going to get in range of her to get her buffs. However, the attack buff is still nice, but these guys are incapable of getting in range of her haste buff, whereas Lily May can get in range of that and really benefits from the attack buff. Lily May is just such a high scaling unit that using more buffing units on her, especially as a free-to-play player. My personal free-to-play account, where I've got heavy investment into Lily May's exclusive equipment and not so much into my other characters like my Marilee, my Odie, and my Corrin. So she just, by benefits of having more investment on her, just buffing her further with Mikola, with that attack, with that haste, is just going to make me deal more damage than running a second DPS and just having them buffed by like Smokey, you know, and anyone else, or having, you know, the damage amplification from Thorin. So that is the way she's working. She's very hand in hand with Lily. Also works really well for those who decided to go for Freyesto from their stargazing. She just works super well with them. The other thing is, if you do have her build, and once again, she works like this at one copy, because she can give you those buffing capabilities at one copy and work perfectly well in bossing. Now, as you go up in the dupes, she does become obviously better, like as you would expect, but it's not as important as getting dupes on any other character. Essentially, she just works so well with a base one copy, and I definitely recommend testing her out in the bosses if you do get them there. Now, if we go over here to the table mode, we will see where they actually placed her in individual bosses. and I'll give you guys my take on it for each boss scenario. So here we have Skyclops. Skyclops, she was doing good on Whale side, and she's absolutely amazing on free-to-play for my experience. Same with Croaker. She was working really well for me on free-to-play. Necro, she was working okay for Whales. I saw a few getting her in there. For me personally, she wasn't completely busted. She did definitely work for me on Snow Stomper. She was pretty solid there. And then Lone Gaze and Alpha Bear, I couldn't get it to work on as my free to play. However, the Lone Gaze, they did get her working really, really well on the Whale side of things, but Alpha Bear, not so much. So she just has that general viability. It depends what you have built. And I do think the way she works, the way she synergizes with the Shakir buffs as well, you know, you can just hyper buff that Lily with these 2 units. Absolutely fantastic. But I do think that her viability moving forward will stay pretty strong because she does have sustain. She does have really good buffing capabilities, which just makes her a really solid boss unit in general. The one thing she does lack is damage, even though her whole exclusive equipment and Supreme Plus is focused around trying to amplify that damage. I haven't seen anyone getting crazy numbers out of her damage, so we will have to wait and see. But that is pretty much everything I wanted to go through. Those are the placings for Mikola in the tier lists. Once again, let me know if you guys have any thoughts, but in general, I think Mikola was a really well-placed unit, and it's great to get as many units as possible that we can make work at one copy. So that was pretty solid. Anyway, guys, that is going to be it for this one. Don't forget to be subscribed and leave a comment to enter the draw. And as always, thanks for watching. Hope you have an awesome day, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Cheers.